Today, we're diving into something big: how Turkey is completely rewriting its foreign policy playbook. I mean, they're surrounded by what you could call a ring of fire. And instead of just defending, they're going on the attack. So let's break down what this new, super assertive strategy is all about.
I mean, think about it. This is a question right at the heart of geopolitics, right? But for Turkey, this isn't some academic exercise. It is their daily reality. They're sitting at this insane crossroads of Europe, Asia, and the Middle East, and there are conflicts blowing up on pretty much every side. So, how do you navigate that kind of chaos and, just secure your future?
Well, here's the answer Ankara's come up with. The old way of thinking, just containing problems, that's out the window. Now it's all about preemption. And the idea is actually pretty simple. Don't wait for the trouble to come knocking on your door. You go out and you neutralize it at the source.
Okay, so to really get why they're making this massive shift, you have to understand the insane amount of pressure Turkey is under. Seriously? It's like a geopolitical pressure cooker. It's not just one crisis. We're talking about 4 separate, overlapping security nightmares all brewing right in their backyard.
Just look at this map of threats. It's literally a 360-degree problem. You look north, you've got the Black Sea, which is basically a tense stare-down between Russia and NATO. You look south, the Eastern Mediterranean is in turmoil because of the Gaza conflict. Then to the southeast, you have the whole Syria-Iraq corridor, just a volatile hotbed for militant groups. And if that wasn't enough, go a bit further south, and the Houthi attacks in the Red Sea are messing up global trade, which of course hits Turkey's economy directly. It's coming from everywhere.
And on top of all that, the unwritten rules of the region are changing. I mean, think about it. When Iran and Pakistan started trading missile strikes back in 2024, that sent a message. Suddenly, direct cross-border attacks weren't this huge taboo anymore. In a weird way, it kind of normalized the exact kind of proactive strategy Turkey is now rolling out. So, faced with this pressure cooker environment, Ankara has basically written a brand new playbook for itself. It's built on 2 main ideas, 2 pillars that are totally changing how Turkey deals with the rest of the world. Let's get into them.
All right, first up is something called proactive deterrence. This is really the military heart of the new strategy. The old way was to wait for militants, like from the PKK, that's the Kurdistan Workers' Party, which has been fighting an insurgency against Turkey for decades, to cross the border from Iraq or Syria. Not anymore. Now the strategy is to hit their supply lines, their training camps, their leaders, deep inside those other countries. The whole point is to wreck their ability to attack before they can even think about launching one.
The second big idea is strategic autonomy. Think of this as the diplomatic side of the coin. Now, this doesn't mean they're leaving NATO or anything like that. It's way more clever. It's about using their NATO membership as a foundation, but also building separate, strong relationships with other players, like Russia or Qatar. What that does is give Ankara wiggle room. It lets them chase their own interests without getting trapped or forced to pick a side in some big rivalry between the great powers.
So when you put it all together, you can really see just how fundamental this shift is. They're moving from a defensive wait-and-see kind of posture that really depended on allies to a proactive, forward-leaning security model that's all about independence and disruption. And let me be clear, this is not a minor adjustment. It is a complete reimagining of Turkey's role in the world.
Okay, so that's the theory, the big ideas. But where can we see this new playbook actually in action? Where is it having the biggest impact? For that, we've got to look south, to Turkey's border with Syria and Iraq. That's where the rubber really meets the road.
Yeah, this is the main stage where the whole new doctrine is being tested, day in and day out. In both Syria and Iraq, we can see this idea of proactive deterrence playing out in real time. But what's interesting is they're not using a one-size-fits-all approach. They've got different tactics for each country.
Let's start with Iraq. The strategy there has really changed over time. It used to be about temporary raids, in and out. Now it's about building a much more permanent presence. You've got these big operations like Claw Lock that are designed to create a solid security belt along the border. They're also setting up a joint operations center with Baghdad to make security cooperation official. And this is the big one. They're building forward operating bases deep inside Iraq, creating a semi-permanent military footprint there.
Now, the game plan in Syria is a bit different. It's less about building permanent bases and more about applying constant nagging pressure. We're talking about sustained air and drone strikes against the YPG. That's the Syrian Kurdish group that Ankara says is basically just the PKK with a different name. They also launched these limited ground raids, just enough to keep them on their heels. And there's a political angle, too. Turkey is trying to build up its influence with local Arab communities to create a counterbalance to the YPG's control.
But look, all of this new military muscle flexing isn't happening in a bubble. Not at all. Every single move they make has to be carefully calculated, because they're operating in a super complex diplomatic minefield. It's like they're walking a tightrope, trying to balance their own assertive actions with the interests of some really powerful rivals in the region.
And you can see this balancing act perfectly when you look at two key players, Iran and Israel. With Iran, it's this weird dance of rivalry and dialogue. They're competing for influence in places like Iraq and Syria, but at the same time, they keep the lines of communication open to make sure they don't accidentally stumble into a fight. Then with Israel, especially since the Gaza war, it's a lot of hostile talk and economic pressure, but both sides have been really careful to avoid any direct military clash. They're trying to contain the conflict.
And right in the middle of all this, Turkey is also trying to play the role of peacemaker. Their big diplomatic idea is something they call the guarantor system for Gaza. The concept is pretty straightforward. You'd have regional powers, like Turkey, guaranteeing the Palestinian side of any peace deal, while Western powers would guarantee Israel's side. This is really Ankara making a play for a central role in shaping the future of the entire region.
This whole balancing act even plays out in the Red Sea. On one hand, Turkey joins in naval coalitions to protect shipping lanes, but on the other, they're very careful to avoid any direct strikes on Houthi targets in Yemen because they don't want to get dragged into a bigger fight. At the exact same time, they're hedging their bets by pushing for new overland trade routes through Iraq. Why? So they don't have to rely so much on the Suez Canal. That right there, that's a perfect example of strategic autonomy in action.
Okay, so we've looked at the threats, we've broken down the new doctrine, and we've seen how it's being used on the ground. So the big question is, what's next? What are the actual concrete things we should be keeping an eye on as this new strategy continues to unfold?
And we're not talking about some far-off future here. Everything we're hearing suggests that some major moves are expected within the next 12 to 24 months. This strategy is already in motion, and the next big phases are right around the corner. So here are the top 3 things you should watch for. First, on the ground in Syria and Iraq. Expect them to expand those clause security zones in Iraq and to keep up that constant low-level drone and air pressure in Syria. Second, on the diplomatic front, look for a huge push to get their guarantor model for Gaza taken seriously in big international meetings. And third, on the military side, watch for them to keep rolling out more of their own homegrown hardware, drones, ships, air defense systems. That stuff is absolutely key to making their strategic autonomy a reality.
And all of this brings us back to the ultimate question, doesn't it? Is this new proactive doctrine a brilliant strategic masterstroke that's going to secure Turkey's future for decades to come? Or is it a dangerous overreach, a gamble that could drag them into even more conflicts? The truth is, Ankara is betting big on this new path. And for now, the only thing we know for sure is that the rest of the world is watching very, very closely.
Join Intel Prime Channel membership today and get access to exclusive benefits, including early access to new videos, exclusive discounts on Intel products, behind-the-scenes content, live chat with me and other members. Other options will be soon available. Thank you for your support and for helping Intel Prime grow.